Hey everyone, this is James here from TDB, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today I will be drinking, the 2016 Chensheng Hao Bawang. This is a tea that has been featured a couple times. This exact sample was featured on an episode in 2023. And the reason for this episode is I was inspired to bring this tea on after trying the 2023 Yinbang from Chensheng Hao, which frankly caught me a little off guard. Why did it catch me off guard exactly? Well, the feature, it's fairly pleasant, and it didn't have nearly as much bitterness as I expected. And for me, I've always actually preferred the Bawang blend versus the Yihao, and I've judged it as kind of like the one that I would prefer to age if I were to do the picking, just because it's a little bit more in that classic Bulong or even Laoman bitter type material. And it made me really curious to retry the Bawang tea, because that tea, while they're both technically from kind of like the greater Bulong area, they feel very, very different profiles, like the Bawang versus the Yinbang. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this tea and thinking a bit about kind of judging the overall profile as well as the aging, how it is going. All right, so let's get going. I have made steep number 1 here and steep number 2 already, using about 4 grams for 70 milliliters, so fairly standard ratio, a little bit on the light end. I'm filming 2 episodes today, so don't want to completely kill myself. So yeah, we are going to be testing this tea. This is the 2016 version. Ideally, probably testing 2024, but I'm going to deal with the samples that I have. I'm not going to buy an extra sample just to get that. I will say their storage is fairly dry, and I have tried the Chensheng Hao Bawangs through a few different years, 3 or 4, I think, at this point. And I do think, at least according to my memory, it's a fairly consistent blend. So yeah, let's get going. Definitely a good body. Definitely pretty sweet on the get-go. Some of these teas, it does take a steep or 2 to really get going, and then you get hit with the punch in the face. So this is one of those cases where I actually want to get punched in the face. So please show me your Bulong bitter profile. Yeah. So first tea, definitely on the sweeter side of things. Interestingly. And yeah, so this tea, 9 years old, but still a fairly faint color. Cheers. Okay, still pretty sweet. Getting into a little bit more body and stuff. So gonna want to push this tea just a little bit on this next steep here. Nice aroma from this. Acorn, nuts, stuff like that. Just because I'm used to tasting more humid storage, I would guess that this tea is definitely younger if I were to have wine, so I would have guessed probably like 3 or 4 years. So definitely not had like extreme wetness and aging or anything like that. Yeah, nice body, still pretty sweet. Okay, yeah, so let's get this tea going just a little bit. Perhaps I did it a disservice by underleafing it just a little bit too, but still, we would expect this bitterness to be pretty strong and come out at some point. Nice body on that, I will say that. Nice oily body to this tea for sure. Okay. Still that same aroma, pretty much. So yeah, steep number 3, let's go. Gonna wait for that just to cool down for just a second. And I've always actually preferred this blend over the Yihao blend whenever I've sampled both. And part of that is because of kind of like the more strength, at least from my perception, more strength in the material. Definitely feels like this is sort of blended with a little bit of that extra bitter Laoman bitter leaf type thing. And I kind of like that, especially if it's well integrated. I'm not a huge fan of that being 100% of the tea, but when it's well integrated into a nice blend of other materials that are a little more standard, then I am pretty game for that sort of blend. And the same is true for, interestingly, the Yunnan Sourcing's Bawang, the ripe cake that is blended with, I feel like, a little bit of that bitter leaf ripe material. And I think it really integrates well in a way that it doesn't necessarily when it's 100% of the leaf. So yeah, let's taste this steep number 3. Okay, there we go. There's the bitterness. Yeah, still not overwhelmingly so. And interestingly, maybe I really do need to sample a younger version of this tea. Perhaps this is the sort of bitterness that does start to age out pretty quickly, but yeah, kind of bitter acorns. Definitely you feeling the bitterness here on this steep for sure. A little bit of multitasking here. I'm going to do steep number 4. Okay, yeah. This is like solidly bitter, I would say, at this point. The other thing to really judge a tea's aging potential, especially for these Bawang teas, is I really like the profile where it could be quite strong, bitter at the front, and then the aftertaste comes really fast and kind of coats and sweetens the mouth. I think a good example of sort of the aged Bawang profile, a lot of the teas from that have been pressed by Nanqiao, perhaps, like the Double Lions. That's a really famous one. Quite pricey these days, but definitely a cake that has made the rounds as circulation. Good example of how Bawang can kind of age well, and a lot of the Monghai Tea Factory teas kind of in a little bit more of a humble blend, like 7542 or even 8582. Chensheng Hao teas are also a good example of Bawang. They just tend to be a little bit younger because they haven't been around quite as long. Cheers. Okay, that is what I'm talking about. This tea has now gotten seriously bitter, and I was starting to question myself after that Yin Banjiang. So this is why I think I would pick this one to age. It has a very kind of persistent bitterness that doesn't totally dominate the tea, but is definitely present in the tea. Took a couple steeps to get that out, a little bit of pushing here and there. But I do feel like if I had even stuck with the shorter steeps, it would have come out at some point. So this is now, at this point, just a nice, thick tea that has like a fairly bitter profile to it. It definitely, the sweetness was just coming in right before I had the steep, and now kind of the bitterness is starting to overwhelm it. But I do think this is kind of a very solid sort of Bawang style-ish blend. And if I was picking one of their blends to age, I think this has consistently been the one that I gravitate towards over something like the Yihao. But, your mileage may vary, so let me know your opinions if you try these teas. Oh, yeah, this is the stuff. This is bitter. This is starting to kick my ass. So the punching of the face has commenced. So thank you. Yes. So thank you to the folks over at Chensheng Hao. They've always been very generous about sending over samples and things like that, which make it nice to kind of go back and swing back around and try these different teas. This is one that I brought on. I thought we were done talking about this tea and the sample, but because I was inspired by the Yin Banjiang, I wanted to try this tea as just sort of a contrast with that. So thank you all for tuning in. Let me know how you like this episode, and I will see you all next time. Cheers.